Hello everyone, this is Jason with Shy Snake Games, and today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to walk through a mission, starting at the base, going through getting your mission, planning the mission, infiltration, selecting a team, executing the mission, and then looking at post-mission results. So let's get started. On the bottom right, you'll see a few controls. Now these only appear at the base because they're for you, the commander, to take care of your mission planning and deciding what you want to do at a global level. So let's look at mission planning. So this is the mission we'll be playing today. It is a hostage rescue mission. You can see our objectives are to get to an enemy camp. We're going to attempt to rescue a hostage. We're also supposed to neutralize the enemy leader while we are there. Now you see in the center of this section called infiltration options. I'm going to talk more about those in a moment, but first I want to scroll down and look at the map. We generate the map as part of generating the mission. We do this so that you have that information available to you when you're planning for your mission, so you can select the appropriate people to take with you, appropriate outfits to wear, appropriate equipment to take. So let's look at this in a little more detail. You can see there's several buildings on a roughly 1 kilometer map. We don't know which of these buildings will house our target. So what can we do about that? Now we talked a little bit about those infiltration options a moment ago. And this is where they're very helpful. So we have some options. The first option is we could try to plant a bug. Now the problem with planting a bug is you have to send someone there. And if you send someone there, your hostage rescue mission could now turn into rescuing 2 hostages. So on this mission where we don't really have a need for recording information, probably not our best. Let's look at fly a drone. I like the drone option because it's relatively low risk. If things go wrong, drone might get shot down, maybe the enemy's more alert, but it's a hostage rescue. They probably already know we're coming. And on the upside, we can get some good intel without a lot of risk on our part. Now, the place a sniper, I'm going to scroll down again, has the interesting effect of you see a lot of trees on this map. So that means a sniper is probably not going to have the best field of view. So I don't really want to go with that option. And the last option, send someone in as a mercenary, has a lot of the same issues as planting a bug. So for this particular mission, I don't think I'm going to take that option. So let's think about and focus on flying the drone. And with that, I'm going to proceed to our mission planning. Okay, we've made it to our mission planning, and Margot is saying hello to the commander. And now Zoe wants to know what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to select our first option. You can see all the options here, but we decided to fly a drone. And now it wants to know who you want to actually do the flying of the drone. Now each party member has a different skill level, different abilities, but in this case Margot is our best pilot, so I'm actually going to use her to do the drone flying. Now in an actual game where you have multiple missions in flight, not everyone may be available at this point, so you may have to send less than your ideal pick on an infiltration option. That can also happen if people are injured or otherwise unavailable. And with that, we have a plan. Now I'm just going to go back to the intelligence screen because for the purpose of this demo, we just have one mission in flight and nothing else to do at the moment. So you can see our infiltration option has been selected, and it says it takes 1 day for it to complete. So let's advance 1 day. When I do that, time passes, more missions come in. I'm going to not pay attention to the illegal drugs because we have hostages to rescue. So I'm going to look down briefly. You can see the map has changed a bit. The infiltration results says we got a lot of intel. So let's look at that in more detail. So you can see it has marked 2 buildings out of the buildings that were on the map. That is where our objectives are. So one of those is the hostage, One of those is the person we're supposed to neutralize. It didn't mark which is which. Not all intel is perfect, so we'll have to improvise that as we go. Now what we don't know is where the enemy personnel is. So we will have to be a little bit cautious with all these potential hiding spots and buildings on the map. And with that, let's proceed. So this is the team planning. Here you will decide who will go on your mission, what they will take, how they will dress. Now our commander defaults to her casual clothes. This would be appropriate if we were going somewhere, say where we needed to be covert. We didn't want to look like we're part of the military, but we're going into the forest, so let's go in appropriately. We probably want armor, so we have that. And you can see we also have backpack, belt, but this backpack really isn't going to be needed. It's a very short mission, so let's take that off. And here you can see why. In Spy DNA, as you carry additional equipment, it slows down your movement. Now, right now, she's not carrying that much, so she's moving at a decent clip. But you could see as if we took the entire kitchen sink with us, we would slow down. So let's remove that backpack. And you can see now it is gone. Now, I don't want her to go in alone, so let's take someone with us. And here's the list of the people available. You'll notice Margot is not in the list. I'm going to take Karsten. Karsten is the party tough guy. He's the one that used his genetic enhancements to make himself tougher. He had armor implanted around heart, around the brain, and in general, he is a very hard to kill person. So when we need someone to go kick in the door, he will be the person we send on this mission. He's also extremely strong, so I'm not going to worry about the equipment load he's carrying, because with his strength, he will not have an issue. And with that, let's proceed on to the mission. We've been putting a lot of time and effort into getting the maps to load more quickly. What you just saw was the actual map load time. On the left side, you'll see it's still doing some stuff in the background for loading, but that doesn't prevent us from going ahead and starting our mission. So the first thing we want to do is equip our characters. She's got an assault rifle. It's a magnetar. It's basically a railgun with burst fire capability, and you'll see it being used in burst mode. He has got a more conventional 7mm rifle, but let's put a suppressor and a holographic sight on it. And you can see the stats changing as we do that. And also we should put it in his hand. Okay, so let's unpause so that they can equip their weapons and take a quick look around. So I'll go ahead and get them started moving. And I did forget to switch to combat pause, so I'll do that now by pressing P on the keyboard. What combat pause effectively means is that time will only progress when your characters are doing something. So when they reach the end of their action, it will stop and wait for you to tell them what to do next. Now here, giving the wait command will tell her to wait until you tell her to do something else. In the meantime, we'll have Karsten go and check out this building. Now you can see as he enters the building itself gets cut away, so you can see him even though he would normally be obstructed visually. Well, this building looks empty, so let's continue on our way. So now we have, if you remember the map, you can kind of see the buildings off in the distance. We have a pretty good distance we need to cover. So let's start heading in that direction. So let's start moving forward. I'm going to click near these trees because the trees provide cover from both being spotted and from being shot. And in a mission like this, we can use both. Now something else I want to show is we have a high camera. If you don't like the low view, you can switch it to a tactical view, which will align with the mini-map, so you can get a quick overview of what your characters are doing. You can switch back at any time by hitting the F key to follow one of your characters. So now that marker off in the distance means we've spotted someone. But the problem is right now I don't have a good line of sight. So what I need to do is move one of the characters so that they'll get a good field of view. I'm going to try using this tree here, and I'll move her back to where she might be able to spot them. And when she's doing that, I'm going to take Karsten and have him continue forward to this building. Okay, now that she's back, let's get her oriented so she's going to be looking in that direction, and hopefully we can spot this person off in the distance. So it's not looking too promising, but we have a key where we can fly the camera over to the target. And right now we can't see what's there. But I'll leave her here for a moment to watch the area. And in the meantime, we'll have Karsten check out this building.
I'm moving out, sir.
Okay, we have a target. I'm going to click fire and that will bring up our gun sight. That's how you attack a target in Spy DNA. Now what's interesting in Spy DNA is when you're attacking a target, it's not just attack. You actually have to tell the system how you want to make that attack. And one of the trade-offs we have is you can spend more time aiming for a greater chance to hit. What we're showing on the screen is where your shot is likely to go. You can see on the left, right now it's set to 0.3 of a second of aim time. And then in the center, you see the rings. 50% of the shots will go in the center ring, 90% will go into the next, and 99% will be in the outer. So we're going to want to aim a little bit to concentrate the shots where we want them to go. But that's a trade-off, because as we spend more time aiming, this person's probably going to draw a weapon and want to defend themselves. So you have to choose carefully. I'm going to add about a half second to the aim. Now your character will continue aiming while they're engaging the target, so accuracy may continue to increase for follow-on shots. On the right, I'm going to add a few shots to make sure if the first one doesn't get the job done, that we'll get it done. And then click fire, and the target will be engaged. And as you can see, we have been successful. So now I'm going to move on to our next objective. So I think with this building covered, we should bring our other person forward here in a moment. Let's have her go to this tree and catch up with Karsten. So let's continue to advance on these distant buildings. But while we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Fog of War. As we're moving the characters around, you're going to see these grayed out areas that are changing on the map. Those indicate areas where the character doesn't currently have a good line of sight. And if you pause the game, they'll fill out and settle in. We don't want them moving and distracting the player while you're in the middle of moving your characters about. So we limit the rate at which they change while you're actively playing. So we're making good progress, but this is the place where we saw the enemy. And they're at the top of the hill. I don't want to just run up over this hill, especially when they know we're coming. That will probably end badly for us. So let's think this through. You can see we have this area in front of us we were talking about earlier where we don't have good visibility to that sector. But if I move the characters around, you'll see that change. Now you may have noticed that we switched to kneeling position from standing. I did that so that we can get a little closer to the target without being observed, because the line of sight, the taller you are, the easier they're going to have to spot you. And now that we're close, I'm going to stand up, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to move fast. I don't want to try to crawl up on the target because we'll be sitting ducks. In this game, the faster you're moving, especially if you're moving across someone's field of view, it makes you harder to hit. Because shooting a moving target is much harder than hitting a stationary one. I'll move Karsten a bit here so he'll have a line of sight to the target. So it says the commander was injured in an attack. Let's check her out. Now you can see she's been hit, and it looks like the hip was a grazing shot, so she's going to have a very, very sore hip, but it doesn't appear to be too serious. Unfortunately, it missed the armor plate, because that probably would have stopped it completely. Okay, so now we are lined up so we can start putting rounds on target. So at this distance, I'm going to aim just a little bit so that we can hit fairly accurately. And oh, he's still firing. And she has no current line of sight, and I'm going to keep her safe because I don't want to just step her out. So the delay option just tells her to wait for 1 second. I'm going to do it again so Karsten can service the target. And with that, we can resume advancing. Okay, so let's check out this building. And here, let's do what we did before. We're going to send Karsten in to check it. In the meantime, we're going to have the commander get some cover and wait. So while we're moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about the damage model in Spy DNA, because if you notice, there aren't hit points on the screen. There are actually no hit points in the game. The damage model is based on the type of weapon that you're using and where you hit your target. And the weapons will lose damage over distance, just like they would in the real world, because we simulate the effect of aerodynamic drag on the projectiles. But in addition to that, if you are hit or you hit an enemy, the damage is actually anatomical. That means we see what was in the location that you hit, and then we appropriately adjust the target so that they suffer the effects of that shot. This can mean combat can be very lethal in this game. One of the reasons I brought Karsten is he has armor plates implanted, so he can take a lot more damage than most characters. One of the implants in Spy DNA is actually an armored cage that gets implanted around both the brain and the heart, and he has both. So that makes him much more likely to survive an attack than the average character. Our commander, by comparison, doesn't have such a luxury. Now, if you remember the map from our mission planning, the buildings up ahead are where things were marked. That means we expect the hostages to be up here, and we're probably going to start meeting some resistance. And speaking of resistance, I think we found it. Okay, so let's see what we can do. We're kind of out in the middle here, but I think we have a good line of sight. Now, sometimes in your gun sight, you will see things blocking your target like grass, but grass isn't a barrier, so we can fire anyway. And Karsten, let's see if he's got a line of sight. I don't think he does. I guess he does. So let's take a shot. In the meantime, while Karsten's getting ready, our commander is taking care of the one target, and he's taking care of the other. We'll call that a job well done. And with those two targets down, let's have a quick look around and see what kind of cover we can have for continuing to push forward. Yeah, I'm liking the look of some of these trees ahead. Let's get behind this one, and Karsten. And let's move a little faster. Okay, I see more spotting scrolling by on the log. Let's see where those are at. Don't see them at the moment. I should have had Karsten stand up, but that was my mistake. Okay, we got a new shooter up ahead. Not a very good shooter, but shooting nonetheless. But let's not give him a chance to get better or get lucky.
No can do, sir.
Yeah, I really like the burst fire on the Magnetar.
This'll take some patching up.
Okay, he's getting closer, so let's kind of try to end this. That should do it. Now it said we were injured, so let's take a look. The armor has done its job. You see that it's marked in green, so that means the projectile was stopped and there is no injury. If we weren't wearing that armor, this mission would probably be over right now. Because the stuff under that location is kind of important. And next to the commander, you see the little symbol. That is an acoustic marker. That just means you've heard something in that direction. So now I want her to get a line of sight on this building off in the distance. So I'm going to move her at an angle until I can see between these trees to the front door. And yeah, there is someone down there. So the problem with that approach is now we're out in the open, so I'm going to hit the deck. And in the meantime, while she's doing that, we'll get Karsten ready to move, and you'll see now she's down on the ground in a prone position, but you can still fire. And this is actually the most accurate position from which to fire, so we should have no problem taking that target. And you can see the really nice grouping even with the relatively short aim. So if you remember the map, these two buildings that we've encountered people at, those were the two buildings that were marked on the map. So I'm going to have her cover, and we'll get Karsten up here to check the building.
I'm on my way.
Wow, we're lucky that he missed. So we'll just fire as fast as we can without taking much time to aim. And it says that was our target, so that we've completed the assassination part of this mission. So we are still a work in progress, so every once in a while something doesn't quite go right. There you see the AI is not always the sharpest. But we are working on the AI. Okay, this building is empty. So let's have Karsten move out here and we'll send the commander to check the last building.
I'm on my way.
And it would seem I temporarily disoriented myself and ran in the wrong direction. Please don't blame the game for the operator. Okay, Karsten's reached his overwatch position, so I'm going to have him wait. And let's move the camera to follow our commander. So we haven't found the hostage yet, so the odds are this is where the hostage is going to be. And there he is. And let's check this one room because I don't want to get shot in the back on the way out with the hostage. Yikes. Yeah, they were ready for that. So we're going to just fire as quickly as we can without taking time to aim. And we've definitely been hit, but we are not out of it. So we'll just keep throwing rounds on target because there's no running at this point. Okay, so it says target is going down. And let's check our own status. So you can see another round into the armor and another one where it's going to hurt. Thankfully, no vital organs were hit, but that's going to be quite painful. Okay, let's get the hostage to follow us and let's get out of here. So with the hostage following, I'm going to switch the camera to the high view to get ourselves oriented. I'm going to pull it up even higher and find our escape vehicle. It's over there. So now we just need to book it as fast as we can to that escape vehicle, just in case there's any other hostiles in the area. At this point, there's nothing to be gained by continuing to slug it out with them. So I'm going to have the hostage wait just a moment so that the other two can get out in front. And then he'll follow them. So while we're heading to the vehicle, I'll talk a little bit more about the game. We have 3 different types of missions. We have high-intensity missions, which is what you're currently watching. We have low-intensity missions, which are the kind of missions where you will be engaging targets, but it'll be a lower intensity, lighter weapons. You're probably not going to be in heavy military equipment, meaning that you'll be in civilian clothes most likely. You'll most likely be using concealable weapons. So an example would be sneaking into a dinner party, quietly taking out one target there, and then sneaking out without anyone noticing that you've been there. And then there's the completely covert missions, where the objective will be to do something at a location without being spotted. Now, because a lot of our missions are generated, and you saw during mission planning, a mission popped up while we were getting this one, you're not expected to take all missions. So if you have a preference, you can focus on the type of missions you enjoy playing. You don't have to take every single one that comes along. So we're making good progress to our escape vehicle. I'll bring the camera down to a lower point here in a moment. And when a mission finishes in Spy DNA, it'll give you some details about how the mission went. And you'll get to see that in just a moment, as soon as I get them over here. So we're almost there. And you'll see the final results pop up, completely successful mission. Because of the genetic enhancements, our commander will make a full recovery and be ready for action soon. So thanks for watching. Follow us at spydna.com or shysnake.com. Thanks. Bye.